What is that face you're making?
It's a serious.
What is wrong with you? Is that the game face? We're probably losing that game then. If that's the game face, we're probably not going to win that one. It's the Herb and Raj podcast. The name that we spent years and years on. And we had contests and polls,
giveaways, everything.
Yeah, everything.
I didn't think this was going to be the final name. I thought it was going to be something else, like the Two Brothers or something like that. I didn't know, but
yeah,
I'm okay with it
either. But we said our staff made the final decision. Probably Bob. What happened to Bob? Did you fire Bob?
Listen, Bob and I we're not seeing eye to eye right now, so I had to give him a little LOA, a little leave of absence. I didn't give him like a time limit as far as a leave of absence. I just said, hey, I'm gonna give you a leave of absence. Bob will be back though. Most likely around football season time when the season starts.
When we actually need him. Okay. Is it because I spent all of our travel budget money?
Yeah, but you always do, so I'm kind of used to that.
Nice, thank you. Speaking of which, Raj will be in town at some point next month, so we will have some more live content. We already got some comments coming in.
July.
Roll in that next month? Something's happening next month.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, okay. And thank you, Kat, as always. Hit the like and subscribe. I apologize, folks. I went on vacation this past week, and I have been running behind ever since I came home. That's why the link was late. That's why it wasn't as prepared. I think even our banner isn't that great today, thanks to me.
It's all good. It's all good. We're here.
So, which got Big Mike is in the house.
Big Mike.
All right, so Raj, we had talked about we're going to talk about the schedule and maybe some transfer portal and some depth things, but you heard an interesting conversation earlier tonight that I wanted you to kind of give us some tidbits from on the Bama Standard Network. And of course, shout out to Bama Standard. They allowed us to be on there Saturday night with JT and JB. And just talk about a whole lot of stuff, and some of that stuff we'll touch on here in a minute too. But what the conversation tonight was an interesting one, Raj. What are some tidbits you picked up from that?
From the Bama Standard Network?
Yeah.
So the conversation tonight was primarily focused on Ajayi Hall. For those who don't remember, Ajayi Hall first recruited by Bama. I think he was here in 2021, I believe. Had a really, really good spring game that year. We thought highly of him. I want to say he was a 4-star. We thought he was going to be the next big thing here at Bama. He ended up getting a couple of receptions in the national championship game because Jameson Williams went out. He probably should have had a touchdown or two. He ended up with like 2 receptions, dropped a few passes. 1 or 2 years later, he ends up at Texas. I think he had some disciplinary reasons at Texas.
I feel like it was the year that next year, wasn't it? Because he got suspended and basically kind of kicked off the team.
22 got kicked off the team at Texas, and then last year he was nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard of. And then earlier today, we hear that he is going to go to UCF and play as a walk-on.
Yeah.
So when I first heard that, I said, "Okay, good for him." You know, I honestly, I hope things work out for him.
Right.
He's going to be part of the Gus Bus. I think they'll have an offense he'll be able to feature in. But I'm also thinking, like, can you imagine that timeline being recruited by Nick Saban's squad to come play at the greatest school on earth, and now you're a walk-on at UCF? Like, at some point,
how accurate is this?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that though, Herb? Like you just went from here to, and again, he might succeed at UCF. He might have a great season. Who knows? I don't know. He might not get any playing time. I have absolutely no idea. But just to see where you were and to see where you're at, you just have to take a look in the mirror and say, like, regardless of your recruiting, regardless of your stars, your rating coming out of high school. I mean, once you get to college, you have to be a responsible adult. You've got to put in the work, and you have to remain consistent and dedicated to your craft. And you can't let all this foolishness off the field like kind of get to you, and that's what happened to him. And I guess another question that was posed was like, who's in his ears? Anybody talking to him, trying to say, "Hey, man, you got to chill out." I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's talking to the man in the mirror, and he's probably asking him to change his ways. And no message probably could have been any clearer. You know, if he wants to make the world a better place, he needs to make the change. I agree. Cat gets off the
I
girl.
set up that great little introduction, great little reported piece and everything. And you give that type of response, that little childish response. Although it was hilarious. I'm not going to lie about that. It was hilarious.
So what the last part of it is kind of where I want to start at. Who's in his ear? I just feel like too many of these guys, and it becomes a stereotype, Raj, but I've seen it. You know, I've been working at a place, Jimmy John's, at 5:00 in the morning, and had a player come in, and 5 other people are with him. And I'm like, who are these people? You know, who is hanging on to you, who's just telling you, you know, all the good stuff, like, oh, go here, go collect this money, and who's not in your ear for any of the, like, hey, man, you got to shape up. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like sometimes those people who are your lifelong friends aren't really your lifelong friends.
They're not. So. They're around you for what you have at that time. Yeah. But when the going gets rough, they're like, oh, they stop answering the phone. They don't want to be around you. But and I guarantee you, when he was at Bama, first recruited to Bama, all his friends like, yeah, cool. And then once he didn't get playing time, they're like, yeah, man, that didn't pan out. And I guarantee you, he probably had some friends like, man, I knew he wasn't going to be good at Bama. You know, those type of guys who didn't want to see him succeed in the first place. So,
and that's a problem. You know, Trent Richardson, when you know, shout out to Trent Richardson, of course, but you know, he had said that one time, like when he was looking at his finances after he didn't make it and stuff. He's like, he had 7 Netflix accounts he didn't know about. It's stuff like that where people are just there for your money and to take advantage of you. And you know, like you said, not there for the hard time. So glad to Randy, we're trying to have a good time tonight. Randy, I appreciate Randy. Randy texts me to check on me. He's like, hey, y'all still on tonight? Because I was so late in putting up the third. I said, on vacation.
It's all good.
I was gone all weekend. No good excuse, of course. And then, you know, we drove back yesterday, and then today I was at work up until like 45 minutes before the show, which normally doesn't happen. So definitely running the line.
It's all good.
That's a good point too, Mike. Not a lot of people don't handle it well.
I agree.
And I think the thing is you go from being Mr. Everything at your school, and you don't have to talk to anybody, worry about what anybody has to say, to all of a sudden the pools got, you know, smaller, and that guy who's like a 3-star who you might think you're looking down on is, you know, almost as fast as you, is working harder. And, you know, some of those guys, I think some of it has come too naturally for you at the college at the high school level. You're not ready for the work you have to put in the high school. And then I think also that ends up translating for some of these guys when they make it to the big leagues. And that's not just NFL, that's across all sports. But you can tell some of the guys who have natural talent who aren't willing to put in any extra work. So it's crazy. Yeah. Randy said he's bouncing around the podcast world. I need to get caught up. So I've actually been listening to a little more NFL stuff. So, and Randy's having a 5-minute podcast tomorrow. Like, he's only going to be on for like 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, because he's talking about where he thinks Georgia's vulnerable at. So I figure it's going to be a really short podcast, and then he'll just like,
okay.
Yeah, like 4 minutes and 33 seconds. So,
Yeah.
What Alvin Curry? Yeah, along those lines, man. And he was in like one of the most stacked running back rooms I think ever.
It was him, because remember the pictures that floated on social media. It was like him, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, and I think TJ Yeldon. Yeah. So you're kind of looking around like, dude, how am I going to get on the field? So
glad to see you, Lady Alpha. I know she had some stuff going on, so glad to hear you there. So
thank you for joining us.
Probably just missed it because I wasn't on Twitter, so you might either need to point me to her, or you might. Oh no, I'm sorry. He's talking about his response to me. When Randy posted that was his subject for tomorrow, I said, "Wow, this is gonna be the shortest podcast in history." And he was like, "Come on, man. I'm just saying." So,
I like the fact that he's bringing up that topic for Georgia, because Randy's kind of like you talk about the good about your team and you want to, you know, remain optimistic, but you know that, hey, you know that there's some vulnerabilities there. You know that things can happen to your team, or you might, you know, things might not always go your way. So he's honest. He's candid about it. So I'll definitely be tuning into that one.
Yep. Tomorrow I'll actually be home on time, so I'll be tuned in as well. So So where'd you want to go first, Rods? Depth or schedule? You the boss.
Let's do depth and then schedule.
Okay,
if you don't mind.
So this is something we kind of talked about Saturday night on the Bama Standard and with JT and JB. So talking about, because we had just picked up a couple guys, in the last week to kind of help out our depth concerns. So how do you feel now grabbing those last couple of DBs and then an offensive lineman to kind of fill out the team? How are you feeling now, Bucks?
Now, Mike, I said prior.
I'll definitely be posting that later, and we will definitely have
I was already thinking about that when Mike first jumped in the comments. So, yeah, we definitely got to give a shout out for that. Prior to us getting –
this is a longtime friend here. No Diddy already.
Shout out to Kerry. Prior to last week, I guess about a week ago, I'm sorry, I was feeling a little nervous regarding the DB position. I felt like we had enough DBs on the roster, but we didn't have enough experience.
Right.
We had a lot of freshmen come in, 5 stars, and that's good. But I like having guys on my team that have played a year or two of college football. So when we were able to get King Mack from Penn State, I was excited about that. And I think once you look at the DB position now and the entire secondary position, I mean, we're pretty loaded. Of course, we all know that we've experienced injuries in the DB position pretty much every year. But I think if everybody could stay healthy, we got some good stars and we're going to have some good backups. I also still feel like we need some offensive linemen. We were able to get Gino from Michigan State to kind of help out. Again, he brings the experience from Michigan State. I still feel like we could use 1 or 2 offensive linemen there in that position. But overall, right now, I feel pretty comfortable. I feel very, very comfortable, much better than I was last week at the same time. So looking forward to see what these guys can do this fall.
Yeah, no, I agree.
How about you?
And we kind of talked about this. Transfers versus recruits, and which do you like more? And it's tough. Like, obviously you want recruits and you like to have them come in and develop, but as far as competing now, like, it's hard to beat. Even for, we get a transfer from like Charlotte, excuse me, I'm gonna say Charleston, Charlotte. Yeah. And we're kind of happy about it just because it's a guy who's already played and we've got some tape.
He's already played, right?
Yeah,
right.
So,
because if you think about it, the 5-star recruits, they can get, even if they don't play much this year, as long as they get their feet wet and work hard, they'll get some playing time next year. The only thing about that is you just got to hope that they don't transfer. That's the tricky part about that situation.
Yeah, yeah. So then it's like, how hard do I coach them? Do I take it easy on them? Is the juice worth the squeeze? So it's like,
oh my gosh.
But it's me and Lizzo out here. So
you're right.
Yeah, no. But seriously, like, that did make me feel better about both positions. It is is Parker Brailsford, like, have we heard, is he good to go?
I haven't heard anything about him. I mean, at this point, I guess no news is good news. I'm assuming right now he's our starting center. We had a few more months, into our first game. So I haven't heard anything from him. I haven't seen anything on social media. At one point there, several months ago, we were thinking he was on the outskirts going back to Washington or going somewhere else. And now it's like Brockermeyer left, which was a surprise to a lot of us. So now Brailsford I'm assuming he's going to be our number 1. Anybody in the comments, Big Mike, if you know, let us know. We'll definitely have our ears out there.
Yeah. Well, all right. So kind of running down the positions, we were talking about depth. What they ranked as our best depth position right now, as far as everything goes, is linebacker.
Running back?
No, I thought that would be it. So running back they have as number 2. Okay. We have 5 on the roster, but we're really looking, Miller, Haynes, Richard Young, and then Daniel Hill was the ones we saw the most of, I guess, at 8A. I mean, I love that stable. You'd probably like to have another body back there kind of just because, but running backs, I mean, that's a great group, and I think it's going to be one of the more underrated groups out there.
Yep. So they had linebacking core at number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that. I'm really excited to hear that. Yep. So,
and this is just straight Alabama's depth. So this is how the rankings went, and they felt like our linebackers is our deepest group. So, and some good games. Deontay Lawson they have in there, John Campbell, Justin Jefferson, Keon Keeley still up in there, and a bunch of newcomers.
I keep forgetting about Keeley because I haven't heard too much about him. I do hope that he gets some playing time. Like I said, I don't know how he's been doing in practice. Barely saw him in A-Day, but I hope Keeley gets on the field.
All right. I feel like if you ask Mike, you'll check his IG, and then if you ask him, like, what did Parker Brailsford eat for lunch today? I feel like Mike will be like, well, from what I could see, this is what he ate at lunch today. Yeah. So. All right. So what do you think? What position do you think is after running back?
So we got
Depth-wise.
linebacking core, running back core. I want to say maybe our DBs, but I'm because we've got experience.
And
Now,
I think this was right before the guys you got in. So I don't know if the last couple of them would
okay,
count.
never mind. Then I'll remove. What about wide receiver?
Quarterback.
Quarterback? I wanted to say quarterback, but I was like, I don't know how they feel about.
I think it's purely from a depth standpoint. If you have see turkey sandwich on wheat, no pickles.
Turkey sandwich on wheat, no pickles.
Carey was with you receivers. And I'll be honest, before looking at this, I thought the receiving group would get up higher on the list for sure. And I think that's a group that's got a bunch of guys who are just looking for some more opportunities. But they gave it to quarterbacks. It's hard to fight with that. You do have 4 quarterbacks, or maybe 3.5, I guess. But the fact that you have 2 of them, backing up and have been in the system for a whole nother, a whole year or 2 as well and been there, I think that's huge. Like, I was shocked. If you had asked me, I would have bet money that one of Ty Simpson or Dylan Lonergan would have been gone in that last portal thing. So what'd you think about that?
No, I agree. I think you and I talked about it several times. I really thought once Ty Simpson declared that he was staying, I automatically said, okay, Lonergan's going to leave because he's not going to want to be second or third fiddle, whatever the case may be. But I think Simpson and Lonergan are staying. And we haven't forgot about Austin Mack yet, but we're just talking about the main ones right now. I think Simpson and Lonergan are staying because they know that there's a chance they can get more PT this year. And then if Milroe does have a successful season, which I think he will, either one of them could start next year. So they're probably going to hang around another season, see what happens, put in their work, be competitive, and hopefully they get that top spot next year.
Yeah. So, what do you think specifically Dylan Lonergan is thinking, though? I know what Ty Simpson is thinking.
Yeah.
What do you think
I think Lonergan is thinking, okay, we'll see what happens this year. As long as, if Milroe stays healthy, Simpson's going to be the 2, Lonergan's going to be 3. Then Lonergan's probably thinking, I'll see what happens next year. If I don't get the starting spot or in 8A next year, maybe he's out.
That's interesting.
I think that's what he's thinking. Yeah. And wherever he goes, he'll have some pretty good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What are the chances either one of them starts a game this year?
Starts a game?
Yeah.
That's a good question because last year we all know Milroe was benched last year, and Saban benched Milroe because of his play against Texas. So with that being said, I don't see Milroe getting benched due to play this year. I think he's going to get the job done. So I don't think either of them start this year. But I mean, if you look at our schedule, we have Mercer, USF. We have a couple games in. Obviously, Western Kentucky. There's a couple of games in there when they 1 or 2 of them might get in. So they'll get on the field.
Sorry, I'm setting you up for another question that was just sent to me while you're saying that. So, it's like if you answer that one of them will, is like, do you not have faith in Milroe anymore? You know what I mean? So it's like one of those tricky. I don't want to push that envelope. Like, I don't see him getting benched like he did last year, but oh man,
this is
man.
The thing.
I hate to say this, Randy, but it's one of the reasons why I said the most pressure in the nation is on Milroe coming to this season.
Yep.
I will also say this though. I feel better about our backups than I have maybe more than like when Milroe was backing up Bryce. I feel a lot better about. I mean, let's just be honest. Ty Simpson is a better passer right now than Milroe is.
Yeah.
And I think if something happened and Milroe faltered and Ty Simpson had to go in, I think he would do fine. So I'm not saying world beater, but I wouldn't be like, oh my God, the sky is falling. You know what I mean? I think Milroe's legs is a dynamic that it's harder for teams to plan for. But I do like our backup quarterback. So
and Simpson can run if necessary. It's just that he doesn't have the same speed as Milroe and the elusiveness.
Right. And he doesn't know where the end zone is.
But this is a good topic because I feel like there is a lot of pressure. I do agree with you. There's a lot of pressure on Milroe because Milroe is going to have to prove early in the season that he can run DeBoer's offense. If you think about it, based on everything we hear, we're going to be a pass-heavy team. So he's got like 2 or 3 games to kind of prove what he can do And if he can get the job done, then obviously he'll maintain that starting spot. But if DeBoer sees something like, he can run, but he's not making certain passes, DeBoer might be inclined to say, you know what, I'm going to have to put in Simpson, let Simpson get in and see what he can do. And I mean, DeBoer, does he have too much to lose? No, it's not Saban. It's not like Saban's doing it. So DeBoer's first year as head coach, he can make these changes early on if he wants to. But again, I think Milroe is going to have to show that he can throw the ball as much as he's supposed to. And if he can kind of reach that ceiling that you and I have discussed him possibly reaching this year, that's the good thing about Milroe. That's the upside to him, is we know we haven't seen the best version of him. I hope we see the best version of him this year.
Gotcha. No, I agree. So I'm setting up your other question too. So checking that out. Right. No, I agree. And I think the way, and we'll talk a little bit more about the schedule, the way it comes up, but I think the way the schedule breaks, that Georgia game is a big pivot point. You should and hopefully be 3-0 going into that game.
Yep.
The performance there kind of will show you when you have like Vandy and South Carolina afterwards. So you kind of know by that point if you're getting the best of Milroe, right, and the season will be good and he'll go on. And that's not – I don't think he has to beat Georgia to keep like a starting job or show whatever. But you have to have a good performance in that game against a great team.
Exactly.
If it's terrible, kind of like the Texas game.
Exactly. And I agree.
It'll be like last year. Yeah, go ahead.
And and I think that's what DeBoer will do. If it's terrible, if he throws a couple of interceptions in that Georgia game, DeBoer is going to have a talk with the coordinators and say, listen, man, I don't, I'm not sure about this. And what you do is you start Simpson the next game, see what Simpson can do. And if Simpson plays well, you can keep Simpson in as a starting quarterback, knowing good and well that you still have Milroe there. And maybe this will motivate him and pump him up even more to play even better. But no, I agree with you. And I think like I said, he's got the Western Kentucky game. He's got the South Florida game. And then that's prior to us going to Wisconsin, because the Wisconsin game's going to be on the road. It's in Wisconsin, so that could be a tricky game. So he's got 2 games to really, really get prepared to show that, hey, I can run this offense. And it's not the deep ball. We know he can throw the deep ball. But again, and I told you, I want to see the short yard passes, the 2nd and 3, 3rd and 5, those type of passes to the tight end, not just 60-yard bombs. Yeah. I want to see those short passes, because if you can get your short passing game down along with your run game, you can control the clock a lot better than what you can with just throwing a bomb. If you got 2 minutes left and you throw a 60-yard touchdown pass, you're giving the defense at least a minute 50 to kind of retaliate and score too. So, but if you can make those short passes and you can run the ball, you can just drive the clock down. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for Milroe to be doing this year.
Agreed. You want Randy's question that he just sent?
Sure.
And this is when he sent posted. So, and sorry, I cut off the top, of course, while I'm copying. Who has the best running back room in the nation?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know name-wise, it goes to Ohio State. Name-wise.
Yeah. I was about to say, I know Ohio State got Jenkins.
Yeah.
And Hudson. Yeah. Henderson. Who are the guys at Kansas? I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. And that's one of, and so let's just full disclosure. That's one of the things we got to get better at this year is the players of other teams. We're kind of more into teams than players. So Ohio State is the one that jumped out, and Georgia's always a running back machine, I always figure they'll be near the top. I also think those are two, the probably, like, no disrespect to anybody else, the only 2 relevant teams on this list.
Yeah, no. So, I understand what you're saying. If I had to start right now, I'd say Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, and then the other 3. I'm not sure. It might be Penn State, UCF, and Kansas. But I'd have to.
I think that's probably a pretty accurate list.
Yeah, I'd have to do some more digging into those other 3 teams to kind of get more familiar with their programs and stuff. So
the Judkins transfer to Ohio State was kind of shocking. So
it was very shocking. He had a really, really good season last year at Ole Miss, and I didn't understand it at all. So I felt like, again, it's my opinion, I felt like maybe it was just a money grab, and they gave him a better offer. And you think about how well Ole Miss did in the offseason as far as recruiting and picking up some players in the portal. They're pros to kind of vie for an SEC crown this year if they can make it to the championship game. But he went to Ohio State.
Right now they're picked to be 3rd in the SEC right now.
Okay.
I feel like most things right now have Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, and then maybe LSU. So
yeah, I saw one of those. So
yeah. So, yeah, off the top of my head, I would go Ohio State, yeah, and then Georgia, like you just said. He was like, he was shocked to not see Alabama on there. I'm not, because the guys that we're counting on this year, we probably think way more highly of them than everyone else in the nation. You've seen them in bits,
you're familiar.
In pieces last year, but not as a starring role. And we probably think way more of them than anyone else.
Everybody's familiar with Jam Miller, but we've seen glimpses of Haynes. But for true Bama fans, we've like kind of been behind the scenes, kind of scoping at Justice Haynes. So we know what he can do, and we know what his potential is. So this year will be his breakout year.
Agreed. And Lady Alpha talking about Ohio State. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's championship or bust, or Ryan Day is out of a job. So
yeah.
They put together an excellent team for
They have to beat Michigan first.
Yeah. Which I still think it's Ohio State versus Oregon. We'll talk more about that, I guess, during our previews later on in the summer. I still think it's Ohio State versus Oregon. I'll have to dig more into it, but that's what I think.
I agree.
And yes, we love our Bama quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Notre Dame lacrosse moved on to the quarterfinals. I'll be rooting for them. I will be pulling for them. No. And she say, "Oh, absolutely, yeah, Michigan. That's the first step." So, I don't know anybody else that could really challenge them, in the Big Ten for sure. So,
yeah.
All right, going back, I forgot where we were. Going back to the depth pieces. So, quarterback, that was interesting. That always takes you. Whenever you mention Alabama quarterback, that just takes you down a rabbit hole.
I remember that if you had asked that question years ago, you were like, "Man, we got one of the best quarterback rooms in the country. We got Tua, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones." Well, Mac Jones was, he didn't really come out to 2020, but nowadays it's just like Milroe, and then there's just really a big tie for who's going to be number 2. So,
big tie for who's going to be number 2. Oh, okay.
You like how I did that, huh?
Yeah.
And again, we didn't really throw Austin Mack in there. He's young. I think that the one thing he's got, he has potential.
Once he hits puberty, I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, that's why I said he's young. We saw him in A-Day. He had a few mishaps in A-Day, but he's got plenty of time. He's probably not going to be the starter next year, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, something amazing would have to happen for him to be the starter next year. So
yeah.
Then after your fourth on your depth chart, Raj, was wide receiver, which we were both talking about. Okay. So even with what it's weird that they have stuff here like Malik Benson was one of our departures. I was like, really? So okay,
he didn't really get a lot of touches last year, so I think it was surprising
at all.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. So like Kobe Prentice, Jalen Hill, we hope comes back healthy. Manuel Henderson, Cole Adams, Kendrick Law, those are all your returners, and then you throw in like Ryan Williams, Caleb Odom, the Germinator.
The Germinator.
There's a lot of guys on that list who I thought. I mean, let's just be honest. We didn't pass the ball well last year, and we have a lot of guys out there who are just waiting for their chance. So, I'm excited about the wide receiver room.
I am too. And even if to your point, if you look at some of the scores from last year, like even the Arkansas game, like we had a lot of scores that were in the mid-20s, 27, 24, 26, 23. Those games should not have been close. We should have blown out Arkansas last year. But yeah, I think there was a lot of receiver. The names are there. It's just we have to get them the ball. And we all heard Kobe Prentice say a couple weeks ago that there's a chance that Alabama has 3 1K receivers. I hope so. I hope we throw the ball that much because that means we're going to put up a lot of points this year. But it's yet to be seen. I know we could have 1 or 2. Again, it's going to come down to Milroe and his ability to make those passes that he wasn't able to make last year. Can he make that change? Can he make that stride? And can he progress?
Yep. Agreed. Then that goes in defensive line. Tight end was interesting. I was like, I mean, we don't use our tight ends enough for me to really worry about it. And
we really don't.
Safety,
I wish
those two.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, and especially, I mean, I know we're good at the deep ball, but when you're not that great a passer, it just seems like tight end is supposed to be your safety valve. And
exactly,
we just never use them that much.
We don't. Yes,
we just want the snaps to come right back to him.
Yeah, that's the good part. Yeah, but no, I agree to your point. I mean, having that safety net that's like 5 or 6 yards away that can get you that first down is something that needs to be utilized more often. And we didn't. And I know Niblack's not with us anymore. He went to wherever he went, but we didn't use Niblack enough. He was an excellent tight end, had good size, good speed, but he was just underutilized.
Yep, agreed. All right, you want to take a look at the schedule like we were talking about?
Let's look at our 2024 schedule.
Boom. So the way I wanted to look at it too was kind of ranking what you thought. If you only went to one game next year, you got to go to the Georgia game.
The Georgia's game, yeah, the Georgia game. It's in Tuscaloosa. Did they announce it's a night game? I'm assuming. Yeah, it's got to be a night game.
Yeah,
that would
I didn't think they even started it. So that's an interesting question. You had two games that they already announced. I didn't think they announced games this early. So apparently I'm missing something.
I didn't think so either. They announced the Western Kentucky game as like a 6 p.m. kickoff, and the Wisconsin game was an 11 a.m. kickoff. That was odd. I thought Wisconsin might be a little later, but
defensive port, yeah. Alabama with a great offense and a weak defense would be very interesting.
That would be really odd, but yeah.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Raj.
Yeah, I would say no. To answer your question, yeah, the number one game, of course, is the Georgia at Alabama game. I think that the place is good. Brian Denny's going to be rocking that night. I would love to be at that game. If I had to pick a second game,
wait. So Georgia is definitely your number one on the schedule
of games that I would want to go to.
Yeah, that you would have to go to next year. Georgia's number one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Number two, so I would probably say LSU. I've never been to Death Valley before. I would love to go to a night game in LSU. I think that would be a heck of an experience. Agreed. It's going to be a good game because we're going to be on the road. I think we'll have the better team, better quarterback play. Alabama should win that game. Those are my
LSU
top
now
two.
Favored right now by one.
By one, right.
Yep.
I saw that. And then number three, I guess we're going to the OU game. Do I put the Iron Bowl up? I'm going to put the Iron Bowl up there because this is DeBoer's first Iron Bowl.
Right.
So this could be tricky. It's of course when you look at the rosters, we should beat Auburn by a couple touchdowns, but it's his first Iron Bowl. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But usually whenever we play in Tuscaloosa, things are in our favor. So I'm also, for that reason, I'm also glad that it's DeBoer's first Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. So, and it's not on the road because that would be really weird if we went up to Jordan-Hare, played bad, and lost the game.
Yeah.
So I guess those will be my top three.
Okay. So obviously, Alabama, Georgia is definitely number one. I'm gonna say Alabama at Oklahoma is number two because it's out of conference and a team that we don't get to go to that often. Plus, also in case Air Raid Mike is listening and he doesn't hear us rank it number two and he takes our tickets away. But I just think that whole experience is gonna be great. And with the rest, I'm like LSU. You'll get a plenty of other chances, Lord willing. But Oklahoma, I don't know how many chances you actually get. Having said that, that's why Wisconsin is my number three on this list. Early on in the season, chance to get, first kind of real competition that you're playing against, on the road. And again, a chance that I don't know that you'll ever get a chance to go there for. So Wisconsin is probably my number three. But I can't argue with LSU. It's just, we go there all the time. So
yeah.
And definitely. I mean, that's Randy, I don't know how anybody can look at the schedule and then say, like, it's not that game. An early on game for both teams. Like, I know Georgia has Clemson, but I don't expect that to be much of a game, to be honest. I feel like
I don't either. I'd pick, just off the top, I'd pick Georgia probably by 2 touchdowns. Yep. If that game was later on in the season, I'd probably pick Georgia by more. But you know how I might feel about game ones of the season. Game ones can always be kind of tricky, but I don't think Clemson's going to win that game. So.
Yep. And I think that's another reason why a big road matchup, bye week, and SEC matchup, huge thing. Yeah. And I think both teams will find out a little bit more about themselves before that game and then during that game.
Yep.
So I'm hugely excited. So let me see. Where did I miss on here? So Tennessee beat. They just think a lot of Nico because I don't see much else from Tennessee to be excited about.
And I hate that I missed their bowl game last year when they played Iowa. I didn't get to see it. It wasn't on here.
You don't hate that. You do not hate ever missing an Iowa.
No, I wanted. The only reason I hated it because I didn't get to see Nico play. But, they played Iowa. There's not really a lot to prove there. Iowa's offense last year was just putrid.
Yeah. You just like the putrid word, huh?
I like that word, yeah.
What else you got in there? Yep, play neck. Yep, and that's where Shannon grew up, going up to see Bama play. That's in Tennessee. Yikes. So, yep, there's Air Raid. Yes, I am so excited about that game, Mike. Yep.
We're looking forward to it.
That is going to be a lot of fun. How are you going to let us win, though? I guess that's the biggest question.
Yeah.
Talk about Mr. Pajama Pants. Yep.
Yeah.
What are the chances to win it all? I mean, first you got to get
Good
to
question.
the playoffs. I'm looking for
Yeah.
a 10-2 year is what I'm hopeful of.
Same here. Same here.
But like if we went 9-3, that wouldn't be shocking either. 8-4 would kind of hurt. But I think like when you're looking at the schedules and games that you really are worried about, it's got to be like obviously Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, maybe in that order of the top four. And I know Tennessee would probably want to throw themselves in there as number 5, but those would be the 4 games that I'd be most worried about. So there's a lot of talent, but it's a new coach. It's a new system. They're still bringing in some stuff. So chances to actually win it all, I wouldn't think are very high. And I know like we sometimes get excited as Alabama fans, but I would just, if we can make the playoffs, I'd be excited with that, to be honest.
I'm the same. I'm thinking. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Put any money on us to win it all, you're probably throwing it away, to be honest, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, first of all, Herb and I are going to pick Bama to win every game. We're not going to argue about that, but we're just being realistic about everything. I mean, even Nick Saban only had 2 undefeated seasons in 17 seasons. So for DeBoer to go undefeated and win a national championship game is probably not going to happen this year. Making the playoffs is definitely something that's feasible. I mean, whether you win the SEC championship or come in second or third, you still can make it in the playoffs somehow. So I think that's something that's doable. Obviously, the lower the seed you are, you're going to have a tougher uphill battle. But yeah, I'm thinking 10-2, maybe even 9-3 at worst for this year and making it to the playoff.
I'll check him out, but I'm not shocked that anybody's too high. I think everybody can't wait to bury us. So this is like the best position to be in. Nobody has any expectations for us this year. So I think it's a good first year for DeBoer. So, I'm be happy and excited either way. And I think the future is still bright for the team. So I think everybody who's like, oh, what's going to happen in this first year? And this first year is going to have growing pains. I mean, that's what's going to happen in this first year. So I'm not nothing I'm going to do. I'm not going to bury him in the first year. I'm going to be excited. So, I may check him out. I may not. I don't know how much negativity I need. So you check out the stadium beforehand. Do I get to do the coin flip too or something like that? Or what?
We just need to find out what time this game is going to be played. If they're announcing these other times, I wish they would announce the OU Bama time game so we can kind of finalize everything on our end. Right now we're just sitting in limbo. So
And Randy, I think I never think that you're going to bury us, but if I was a Georgia fan right now, I'd be confident about the season. That would be a totally different question. It's what are your chances of Georgia to win the whole thing? I mean, much better than ours. So So watch out for that runaway schooner while you're out there. I'm probably going to be the one to slash the tires. No offense to anybody. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
If
that actually happens again while we're there, we're gonna start thinking about this moment right here. Be like, you remember when you said that? And this actually happened.
We're gonna have it cut up, and they're gonna see me going, yeah. So hope I don't lose the first game. Yeah, I know. There's gonna be a lot of feels. So I don't. Fun fact about me. I don't know how fun this is, but it is a fact. I don't watch College Game Day. I don't watch pregame shows. If our game's at 2:30, I tune in at 2:35 when I expect the kickoff to be. I don't watch any of that stuff. This year will be the worst because before the first game, you'll see a whole bunch of Saban stuff. Before the Georgia game, you'll see a bunch of Saban stuff. At Tennessee and all these big games, there's gonna be so much Saban stuff. It's just gonna make me cry. So I'll have even less. So.
Sometimes I watch Game Day.
Randy, are you getting up with Air Raid again soon? Because that's where we first found you. But we will also have Air Raid on at some point to answer those questions. So, and Air Raid, we're calling you out to come up there. So, he said he's hearing a 7 p.m. kickoff. Ugh. We got room there for the night, so we'll be fine.
Yeah. The timing is just gonna be, once we find that, it'll be easier for us to kind of make adjustments as far as plans. But if it is a 7 p.m. Saturday night,
we going out, we having a whole lot of milk, not alcohol.
Yeah, a lot of milk.
And we're gonna have a good time. So
we're gonna have an excellent time.
I agree, Kat. I agree. So that's it for the schedule, I guess, right now. I'm sorry, you did have 2 minutes. Like Wisconsin's at 11 a.m.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. And that's
I
gonna
don't
be
blame
on. I think they
them.
said that's gonna be on Fox. Huh.
I don't blame them for scheduling that because we seem to play worse in the morning. So,
Yeah.
But I forget. Oh, Mike, I totally forgot he's going to be on game day. So do I have to watch to support him?
Oh yeah. Saban. Yeah. You gotta watch some of it.
Randy, is your question because of the time of the game or what we think the outcome will be? Because we did talk about what we think the outcome will be.
We already talked about the outcome. I think he's referring to the time, like that game being played at 11. Just kind of. I thought it would be more of like a 2:30 type of game, to be honest.
Yeah,
but,
I don't feel like SEC games are 11 o'clock games. You know, to me, that's the old JP games, and you're barely awake for it. I think Georgia is just one of the most consistent teams, so I don't think they care. I mean, like, just being honest.
Yeah. No.
Okay, time of kickoff. It's weird that that's an 11 o'clock. I would think that you'd put the number one team in on 2:30, more of a prime time thing for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Georgia goes in, handles business. I agree with Raj by 2 touchdowns at least, and then goes home to watch the rest of college football that day.
Yeah.
There's your answer about O-line being an Air Raid, we're going to ask you on the show, though, are you going to beat us? That's the only question we care about. So
I'm sure Mike's at home just wiping his beard.
Don't blame him. So that, and what'd you say, the Western Kentucky game was at 6?
The Western Kentucky game's at 6 p.m. Yeah. I thought that was odd.
Do I have to go to the first game of the year, Raj?
Kind of do, yeah.
So I got to get to the Western Kentucky game. I got to get to the Georgia game. I got to get to the Wisconsin game. I'm going to the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
After those 4 people, what's the next game I should try to go to? So if I was going to do this schedule, I would have had Florida and Miami at 11. Yeah, I would have had Georgia and Clemson probably at 2:30, and Notre Dame, Texas A&M, I'd leave at 7:30. But I would Georgia would be at one of the other 2. Florida, Miami, I don't know why we're getting excited because that's not great.
I mean, I don't think Florida's going to be that great this year. Miami's going to be Miami. Come on.
All right, Kat says I got to go. So now adding that one to the schedule, Raj. I got to go to Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky. I got to go to Wisconsin. Got to go. And so we got one more year of the Twins before they grow up enough for you to get back to some games besides Oklahoma?
Most likely. They're turning 1 in 2 months, and I'm hoping by next year there'll be 2. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to work it in. My goal for not this upcoming season, but 2025 is to make it to 2 or 3 games. Minimum 2 or 3 games. Of course, I don't know the locations and all that. I haven't seen the schedule, but that's my main goal.
How did you know they're all answer on your show? But I will say the winner wins because
the he's like
beat up. Yeah. Everybody does we know. Definitely have to, and that brings up another good point. One of the things that we definitely wanted to start to help fill out the summer was some previews from some other teams. So we do have another teams coming in. You know, we'll talk to other teams. We'll talk the college football schedule, how they'll fare against Bama if they're playing them, how they might hypothetically fare against Bama if they're not. So we want to fill it with more college football this summer than we did last year. So look forward to a lot of those previews. So, let me say, Dawn Nation, Disney wants to go head-to-head with Fox and Big Noon Kickoff. I mean, I get it from theirs, but I don't care about the Big Noon Kickoff. Most people that went out on Friday are kind of slowly getting up and don't care about the 11 o'clock game. Put it at 2:30, make it the primetime thing, and there's no way Miami and Florida is going to be a good game.
I just don't like 11 a.m. kickoffs in general because I feel like Saturdays I like waking up and be able to do my stuff in the morning and run my errands, whatever, maybe go work out, whatever the case may be, then come back and just crash on the couch and watch football and fall asleep. I don't like that. 11 a.m. is just weird. Just a weird time.
It is. So, and I would think you'd give more respect to the number 1 team in the country and a much bigger game. I know we're saying Georgia's going to win by 2 touchdowns, but it's still the best team in the SEC against maybe one of the top 2 teams in the ACC, you know, and still a name in Clemson. I would just make that a better game than Miami, Florida. So, whatever.
And speaking of Clemson, I saw they were one of 4 teams that didn't get anybody out of the spring portal. They didn't get anybody. And you know how Dabo feels about that. Dabo's just like, no. So
Yep. And Air Raid said he's got. Hey, send him our way. We'd love to have a Clemson.
Oh,
We
yeah.
welcome anybody and everybody on this show. So anybody wants to come on and talk, we're down with it.
Yeah.
Love hearing about other teams, and we're very open. So Ohio State's not an option for Disney. I guess not, but I guess I need to go ahead and take this down.
Yeah, so I can see you. People can see my beautiful face.
Well, I was trying to hide your face a little bit, but it just didn't work.
I was doing like this.
And I agree, Kat. It's just,
yeah,
11 is just. I like to kind of leisurely get up. I might make it to the couch by 11, but I'm not into anything. So we'll see how that works. Yeah. I think that was most of my college football stuff. If anybody has any college football questions, you could keep them coming for sure. We'll definitely answer. And like I said, man, I'm coming off vacation. My energy is not where it needs to be today, man. I really appreciate the comments coming out of there, helping the show flow along. So we really, really appreciate you guys, especially on nights.
The comments and the support, especially to the loyal followers. Y'all are here every week. We really, really appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. So,
Yep. All right, we did have to get into a little bit of Alabama basketball, mostly Mark Sears. The NBA draft lottery was just announced, so there's more and more drafts and stuff coming out. So, your first initial thoughts, like we've said kind of what we thought. We didn't think he'd get drafted high. I know in the process, like without shoes, he's 5'10". He's short. And not great size. Yeah, short. Good vertical leap, though. They said the 6th best, I think. He's all in on the combine, is all he said, which let's say this. I want him to come back, obviously, but I also want him to do what's best for him. And I absolutely hope if he gets a good grade, he goes on, man, I'll be rooting for him, forever. I don't feel like he's like he left you high and dry. I mean, he's just trying to pursue his dream. So I hope the best for him. Yeah. But having said that, I don't think and this is where I'm kind of leading into, Kat. I went through, what did I tell you, Raj? The other night I had gone through 3 mocks and looked at, both rounds, right? Add 2 more to the total today. There's only maybe one I've seen the whole time I've been doing it that has him at the very end of the first round. There's a lot of second rounders and a lot of not picked at all. For Sears.
That's what I'm saying. Right now, if I had to guess, I would say he would be a late second round pick if picked. It doesn't hurt to go to the combine. Of course, you still maintain that year eligibility. So if I'm guessing, I'm thinking he's going to come back for his final year, have a really good season, stay healthy, and then move on into that first round, mid to late, maybe first round. Of course, it depends on what happens next season. I couldn't tell you who's going to be picked in the 2025 NBA draft. But as of right now, it's just like, hey, go out to the combine, play around, see what happens, listen to people, get some feedback, get some constructive criticism.
Really is.
Come back to Bama, hopefully help us win a natty next year in basketball, and then you're off to the races in the NBA.
Yeah. If you're a fringe second round, maybe first round, fringe first round, possibly second round, I just don't know that the money is better in the NBA than it is college. But, I also feel like there's a lot of information out there for you to make that decision. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it should be shy. I know every once in a while you get a shock about, where this person get drafted. But for the most part, we know where everybody's getting drafted. So let's jump backwards, Raj, for a couple. I guess we kind of got tired of the CBS broadcast and the broadcasters in general. So it's interesting to see this. But at the end of the day, I'm still kind of a person who watches the game on low or even mute, a lot of times. I like it. I say that I'll turn it up to get explanations on certain things. But for the most part, I don't really care about who's producing. I just want to see the people on the field. So what do you think, Raj? Same.
Pretty much. I share the same sentiments. I could care less as far as who's producing. I just want to see same as you. Sorry about that. I had to,
no, you're good.
Came up on the side over here, so I had to feed into something else for a second there. No, I'm just worried about the output on the field, to be honest with you.
Yep. I think no. So with 12 teams and one being like your wild card, not from the Big Four. If you take the first and second best team from each conference, both teams that made the championship game, that only leaves you like 3 wild card spots. And I have to think that, like, take the SEC. Let's say if the way it goes, if it's Georgia and Texas, and like Ole Miss is your third best team, like I would think that they're like 10-2, right? So
Yeah.
I think that knocks Bama out. And I also will go ahead and say this. I don't think you deserve to make the playoffs at 9-3 because that probably means you lost your 3 best games anyway. So what is it you're really showing that should make the playoffs? So I think if Bama wants to make the playoffs, they got to go 10-2. And then
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly. The only way 9-3 Bama team makes the playoffs is if everybody else just played. If everybody else ahead of us just played extremely horrible and they just lost a few more games than they should have. But I think if you're 9-3, you're obviously not winning your conference championship. You're probably not even making to the conference championship game unless we lose to like South Florida, Mercer, and Oklahoma. And then if you lose to those 3 games, you're not going to be in the top 10 anyway. So we'll definitely be at. We would be on the outside looking in. 10-2 though, I would say you could get one of the 10 through 12 spots. Play a couple games and try to get to a natty then. But 9-3 is very, very difficult.
Yep. So Mike, you talked. First of all, the big decision that's for Sears. I think it's not. Yeah, and to touch on that. You look at where we're rising in the rankings and the team that Oates has put together. I think he'll have a great shot to showcase himself next year. So I totally agree with that. But like I said, it's hard for me to comment on the guy's draft decision because I'm totally biased and want him to come back. Right. I think his stock would go through the roof next year. So Herb Street and Saban broadcast. Yep. Your only problem there is you don't have a play-by-play guy. So which guy are you throwing in the booth with him to to do all the talking? Because I totally agree.
I wonder how everybody's going to react.
Huh?
I wonder how everybody's going to react when they want to know Saban's like outlook. Like, who do you think is going to win the game? Like, who do you think he's going to pick if he's picking Bama? Yeah. I'm gonna go with Georgia. Yeah, right. Come on, stop it.
I'm not trying to fight again.
That's actually been a pretty entertaining series. I'm not watching it. I'll watch it when we get off because whenever we're on a podcast, I don't watch anything else. I stay 100% focused on the podcast.
Me neither. Oh, sorry.
That's actually been a pretty entertaining series, though.
Yeah, it has. So, Mike, I was actually trying to follow this. She started off the game shooting really poorly. She never really, I guess, found her footing. 5 for 15, 4 from 11 for 3. Didn't look like she had any help though either. Leah Boston, that's somebody who was supposed to really, really do, have a big game for her, and she shot 2 for 6, 6 rebounds, 4 points. So. The Caitlin Clark effect in full effect though, because we're actually even paying attention to that. So I'd like to be professional about which I missed the question. Talk about
maybe.
Oh, he would be professional about it.
Yeah.
Oh, with Saban? Yeah, I don't know.
Saban
I would be the worst person ever put in a booth because I would let you know who I was rooting for. So
yeah.
Yeah,
you would never have your mic turned off. They're like Mike, or they're like Herb, we're still in the air. Oh,
and you know what I'd say? I do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like that's us too. We're definitely going to pick Bama, but we're definitely also going to tell you. So I am now comparing us to Saban.
Hey, we're on our way.
Yeah,
we're on our way. I'm gonna start looking at retirement homes in Florida. So
no, you're not. No. All right, Raj, I'm gonna give you one quick hitter before 2 quick hitters before we get into the questions of death and let you go tonight. First, did you take anything from LeBron being at the Cavs game?
Good one. Honestly, not really. He went back home to go watch a basketball game. I didn't take too much from it. I did. Hold on. Let me rephrase it. I did start thinking about what it would look like if he was on the Cavs next year. Could be interesting.
With Bronny.
Obviously, with Bronny. Donovan Mitchell. I want to say Donovan Mitchell is going to be a free agent. So would Donovan Mitchell still be there? Would Darius Garland be there? You got the big man, Jared Allen and Mobley. That would be a nice little squad. But for the most part, I just thought he went to attend the game. That's all.
Yeah, he has 1 year remaining. Donovan Mitchell does.
Okay.
So, yep. And then he has a $37 million player option for the season after for 25-26.
Man.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I wish. Imagine turning it down just to expect more. So, wait, this is $37 million.
No, that's not enough.
So our irrational part is we're going to pick Alabama to win every week. That's our irrational part. Okay. Our rational part is, this is how many games we actually think. So
even if Bama was playing the Dolphins, we're picking Bama.
Look, this is what you guys have the exact same chance. I still feel like if Alabama won the national championship, he's at least getting a ring, and we're not.
Yeah.
So that's where he's still better than us. So you don't take anything up, but you did think about it. So it did kind of get you.
I thought about it, but I mean, I don't see him going back to Cleveland. I think he's going to try to stay in LA for the next few years until he retires.
Why? So he's content with winning no more championships?
Are you trying to throw a joke in there, or what are you trying to say?
That's actually real life.
I honestly, that's a good question. I don't think he's content. I still think he would love to have 6 because that whole GOAT debate. Does it bother him? I don't think it bothers him as much as other people, but it does. It is something that probably lingers around his mind, chasing that the Michael Jordan thing. But he's not winning 6. Is there a possibility he wins one more? If the stars align and everything goes away, and I get everything that I pray for, then maybe he can.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like we've had a couple of years where I thought we were going to be there, especially the year after 2020 when we won it, 2021, where we were up 2-1 against Phoenix, and then Anthony Davis got hurt. I thought that was another year we could win back-to-back, but then, I don't know. We went through a whole bunch of stuff. Big Mike saying, yeah, it depends on who picks Bronny. The Hawks have the first pick in the draft. Are the Hawks going to pick Bronny just to try to get LeBron? I don't see that happening.
Yeah. First off, the Hawks with Bronny and LeBron, you're wasting your number 1 draft pick and you're not winning next year.
Right.
So it's just like a waste on both fronts. Like if you're a lottery team, you can't pick that. So that's where it gets interesting. So we got to see if Bronny decides to stay in or not. That's question number 1. So the last quick hitter. Are you excited about the Miami Dolphins schedule release?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not look at the schedule release. I do know we're playing the first Thursday night football game though. I'm excited about that. I'm really, really excited about the upcoming season. I think we fell a little short last year, and I think this is our season to win the AFC East and get that home field advantage in the playoffs. So, very, very excited for that.
Now, this really is a thing. Irrational Lakers zone. That's definitely a thing. So, but let's be honest. Irrational Bama fans are a thing also. So, I think every team you go to is going to have some fan in there. It's like we're winning the whole thing, and I'm like, maybe not. Yeah. All right, Raj, only 2 questions for you tonight because, like I said, I'm tired and lazy tonight. We're going to start off with a WNBA question. Work, play, live.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
You got Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Camila Cardozo.
I'm playing with Camila Cardozo, man. That is a tree I would love to climb, buddy. Let's see. Oh. Hey, this is the game you picked.
I'm definitely gonna edit that one and
put that. I'm gonna hang out with Camila Cardozo. I am going to work with Caitlin Clark because I think her work ethic is unmatched, and I think she would definitely help me get that promotion in the corner office. And Angel Reese be my neighbor. I think she would be cool to hang out with as far as my neighbor. We could just chop it up about the HOA fees and everything like that. I think she'd be pretty cool. Hey man, I had to bring the entertainment. Man. Come on,
right? I know, Randy. That's why I'm like, they released those odds. So, Kat, we tried to give you some optimism last week. Your division is still winnable. I just don't know that the Saints are making moves to win it. So. I'm usually mine 5 wins. Yeah, see, Raj. Everybody likes to climb the tree.
Short. Yeah.
All right. So number 2, podcast guest time. Right. And I think we've run through these a couple of times, but I want you to pick one from each one of these that you would want on the next podcast. Okay. You're gonna pick an NFL player, an NBA player, not named LeBron. Or Bronny, because he's not technically in there. Okay. A Bama player.
Okay.
And a player from the sports media.
That are the one on our next podcast?
Yeah.
Sports media, Charles Barkley.
Really?
You said yes. I love Charles. I've always been a huge Charles Barkley fan because of his candor. He's honest about everything. I love it. You said former Bama player, right?
No. Bama player, current.
Current Bama player.
I feel like your former Bama player would be Tua.
Yeah, probably.
Am I wrong?
Miro's like the easy option. I'm gonna go with.
I'd be so scared to have him on the show. I feel like he just I was
I'm
at
gonna
a
go with
wedding
Malachi
once.
Moore.
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead,
I
I'm
was gonna say I was at a wedding one time where we met Saban, and they had already told us like, don't bother him at the the wedding. Obviously, he's here for the wedding. I was like, okay.
Right,
So we
right,
go.
yeah,
I go
yeah.
over to get a drink, and he happens to get a drink at the same time, and he turns to me, hey, how you doing? He says, I'm Nick Saban. Like I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
And I had to play it
Well,
off
what
like,
did you say?
oh,
What did
hey,
you say?
hey. I said, hey, Herb Ragsdale. And then that was it. I couldn't ask any other question. I was like,
Yeah, that had to be the most nerve. And I guarantee you, right afterwards, you ran up to Brittany like, guess what happened?
that is 1,000% what happened.
Yeah.
So sorry, I missed your Bama player. You said
right,
Malachi Moore?
Yeah, Malachi Moore. Yeah, Malachi Moore.
Right. I'm glad you didn't pick Milroe because I do agree that's the easy answer.
Yeah. What are the other two options?
NBA, no LeBron.
Current NBA player?
Yep.
No LeBron. Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man.
Okay.
I'd have him on. He's pretty entertaining.
Like
and
that?
What's the other one?
Current NFL player.
I won't pick Tua because that's obvious.
Man, he agreed with you.
The new Bills' new receiver, Keon Coleman. That guy's
hilarious.
My gosh. I like him. I like him, man. That guy is hilarious. I think he's gonna do good things in Buffalo. He's a hoot in the media.
He's definitely having fun out there. Yep. So.
Oh yeah.
Keyshawn Jones. Yep. Herb Jones. And we know Kat would never get past Terrion Arnold. That would be her whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank y'all once again for helping me to survive. I think I might take an ice bath or rub down with some I don't know what's the stuff that's icy hot or something because I am hurting. So,
or why don't you take a bath
next week? We will have a guest. We don't know which way we're gonna go yet, but we'll definitely have somebody on here. So it'll probably be Raj and the guest, and I'll probably just go out and drink all night or something. So, Herb Raj podcast, Raj. Appreciate you, bro. As always, thanks for carrying us as you always do. Everybody have a great night and roll tide.
Roll tide.